was the program chairman for my garden club, and I needed a program on daylilies, so I started looking around to find someone who could speak on daylilies, and discovered a nursery in Carlisle called Seawright Gardens, and they had acres of daylilies in full bloom, and I was an instant addict. I also discovered Tranquil Lake Nursery in the same year, so I would say in 4 short years I had over 500 varieties of daylilies, and that was an ongoing passion. But I've always loved all the perennials. I focused on the daylilies at that time, but I have definitely never would give up all the other perennials that I grow. I think they all are worthy of being part of a garden, because the daylilies look nice when they're in bloom, but they don't offer much the rest of the year. It's amazing what happens after 30 years of planting trees and shrubs in the garden. What was once an 1.5 acres of totally full sun with no shade whatsoever has transitioned into predominantly a shade garden, especially here in the backyard. Friends who were daylily hybridizers insisted that I should be growing hostas, and I thought they were just a bunch of green and white leaves, and I was extremely reluctant. Now I think I have accumulated over 250 varieties of hostas, from plants with only leaves the size of a dime and 6 inches tall to plants that have mammoth leaves and stand 3 to 4 feet tall. To me, the shade garden, especially after the early spring when the trees leaf out, becomes a study in foliage and texture and color. And this garden looks just as pretty in May as it does in September. That is Carex. It's an ornamental grass that prefers the shade. And this is Hakonocloa macroaureola, which is Japanese forest grass. That is the perennial plant of the year designation by the Perennial Plant Association. Just has this wonderful weeping texture to it, and every time the wind blows it feels like you're looking at the ocean as it waves and sways with every little breeze. And I always have loved Annabelle hydrangea. Annabelle is a native hydrangea, native to the United States. Does extremely well. That flourishes in sun or shade. Large, pure white, sometimes known as the snowball hydrangea.
There's your garden gnome.
It's my husband's game to go around the yard and hide the gnome. And where's the gnome this week? A member of the Yacusamanum rhododendron family. Very interesting plant. The underside of the leaf looks and feels like a suede glove. And you can always tell yak rhododendrons. Doesn't it feel soft?
And here we are back at the water garden. And you mentioned this is a nice gathering spot for visitors.
It is where everyone seems to end up by the end of the tour. Very peaceful, and there's something about water in the garden that is a magnet.